And that's the way it goes. We're live. It ain't Memorex. How is everybody this evening? Exciting stuff. Wait, just one lap as usual. Second pot of coffee. How you doing, Tony? Hi, Jeanette. You just found this channel or my real channel? This isn't my real channel. I think I still have a link for it, though. Because some people find this channel before they find that channel. Oh, okay. Hi. There's rules on this channel. This channel, if you're talking, you're reading hieroglyphs. So just let you know, my wrenches might whoop on you, so be nice. But hi, I'm glad you ran into us. For fuck's sake, man. I gotta tell you, everything I've read has blown my mind, and I just I felt like I had to pass this along, and I've had quite a few stones thrown at me for doing it. I don't give a shit. I'm still going to give it out as it is, and it works. From atomic to galactic, and honestly, right through your chest at 1748 hertz. Crazy as shit. Well, good morning. Literally. Yeah, I'm fixing to blow some glass. I'm This whole fucking COVID thing's had me fucked up. I blow glass for a living. I've done it since '93. I've raised my kid by myself, never asked anybody for nothing, but this COVID shit come along, and I'm trying to get these clear ones done, but I've just wasted my time over here, instead of sitting around fucking bored, I guess. I mean, I can't, I do what I love, you know what I mean? And I can't, I've been waiting on this damn collar because the problem is the imports coming in from China, even American glass makers. I mean, my God, everything just, we can't get it. It's been clear at one point, and then it's glass, the color at one point, and then it's both at one point. I can't get anything. And then everything got stuck in the Suez Canal. So finally, I'm supposed to be getting some glass at some point this week, and I'll be able to like start working again. I'm going to have some glass for some orders that I've had outstanding, and I haven't been able to work. It's killing me. But now I come on. I'm trying to get into the summertime schedule, so I figured this would be a good week to do it because it's killing me. I've gone through 2 pots of coffee. I got to stay up till 4 because it's just too hot in the summer to blow glass in the day. I've got to have some kind of cool air coming in, washing through, because it'll get to 120 really fast. I work with a really hot flame. You'll see that. So I figured while I'm on this transition, I might as well just tinker around and get get stuff done and get ready for when I get my shipment. Hopefully tomorrow. I would love to see Mr. UPS guy drive up. I was, yay! It's gonna be a good day when that happens. So I'll be making beer glasses and bubblers and all sorts of stuff. So elements. So good occupation. I love it. It's my favorite thing to do. Like I said, I just down here biding my time because I get so bored sitting around, and I'm shit, man. I've got a shop set up down here doing what I love. And this next week or so, well, I'm setting my kid's 16 and he's graduating, and we're going to be setting up this other side for him to be blowing on. His mother's supposed to bring in a torch from Philly, and I don't know. We'll see what's going on with whatever she brings him. I'm filling in with it. I'm probably gonna have to buy him some glasses. I don't know what she's bringing over. We don't talk much, and when we do, it's not really communicating. So I'm just waiting until she gets here. Then we'll set up his side, and I'll know what he needs. Anyways, but yeah, he intends to start blowing glass with me. Hopefully, we can find some supplies from now on. But yeah, I guess some of the supplies came in, but it's still back ordered all over the damn place. So I've got my colors coming in that I need. I've been waiting on colors. He wants like a pin for his graduation. It's a pokey pin, a sword and shield thing. Um, so I'm gonna be making that as soon as that comes in, so he can have that for graduation. Um, yeah, whew. I'd go crazy if I didn't have my shop at my house. I'm saying and I love everybody here. Uh, Appreciate everybody that's been doing their homework and can read their hieroglyphs and understands their magnet. That uh, we need a place to hang out and talk about these things because nobody is, and until you actually look at the evidence that we have, it sounds kind of magical, but it's not. It's all magnet, and it's all creation. It's not my brilliance. It's creators, and that becomes evident once you get done looking at what we've got. I do say we because it's not just me either doing this now. It's everybody over here is reading hieroglyphs, finding their own rocks. I never even knew there was rocks. I just started looking at Peru and Mesoamerica because a couple of the viewers here have brought it to my attention. Like, look, this is pretty interesting. I go over and I'm like, oh my God, that's a raw totem pole. Or, that's omnipresence. And then I start looking into that. And then I find something else over here in Peru that really interesting. And it's just like that. And a lot of these folks have already looked in those directions. And then it's amazing how it's growing, is all I can say. It's all of us out here working at this. Hi, Sonia. How are you? Hi, Ramon. How are you? Hi, everybody. Mental. Pancakes, I like it. Got the stars going on. Yeah, and that's uh, that's that's I think why I had to format it the way I did. Um, I had to prove it. I didn't believe a damn thing I was looking at. Put it that way. Um, every time I have somebody look, like before I ever made the first video, I had a couple of linguists look at what I had thought I was reading, and they came back at me like mind blown. For 6 months, they were analyzing this shit, and it's like mind blown, fucking wow, oh my god, it was right in our face, blah blah blah. Same thing I'm hearing today when somebody looks at it. But these are linguists, so I was like, okay, let's uh let's break this news, and made a video, and it's grown from there. We've actually researched, and I've proven everything individually as it comes, and as I get it, and as we get it off of different walls, and I take a process of proving it to you and showing you my path and where I did my research and how, and expect you to go out and do the same. And consistently throughout this, like the 1748 hertz right there, and all that, that was, like I said, if we were wrong about that, I could go 1748 hertz human biology and nothing would come up. Well, you get 10 million freaking hits, and it's all over the place. You have a magnet. That's a medical fact. Also, that's medical journals have been written about it. Heart and brain surgeons operate around the human frequency because they understand how it reacts with the body. It's not magic. It's we were formed in the energy of Earth's human frequency at a resting state, and that's your biology formation in that energy. Simple as that. It's not. It's just something that you weren't told, and it really cuts through all the bullshit if you actually understand yourself a little bit of physics and magnetics and yeah, it doesn't take you to believe anything I say. You just got to go look at a little bit of something that you might not have known about. I had no idea I actually had a magnet. I've known now for about 2 years, and I'm just now starting to understand it a little bit. Even though I was trained in magnet in the Navy, it's a little hard working with the programming in your head, and understanding you actually have more brain tissue in here than in your head, and it's a little practice. But don't worry, I mean, look, this is creators, and if you just found me, it's perfect timing for you. You're going to learn what you need to learn, and that's why creator put you here right now instead of a month ago when Glenn came around. You know, or well, 6 or 8 months ago. So but once you start learning this, and where we're discovering it, it takes all that worry out of you. I do in Denver when I'm making it. Like I said, I've been waiting on materials that have been gummed up because of this damn COVID shit, and all these damn imports. Hi, Miss Raymond, have been fucked up. But there is a store in Denver. It's called Rigs for Us. All like it's rigs and then the number four, us, all one kind of word. Uh, it's Rigs for Us Denver, and she's got Twitter. She's on Facebook. Amazing glass, not just mine. But I've been dealing with her since I got to Colorado. Colorado hasn't exactly been a friendly state to work in. It's been kind of hard until COVID, even, you know. It started getting incorporated here, and corporations are different than a mom and pop, for say, like Anna, Rigs for Us. They roll over a lot of corporate people, and once you get in with a buyer that isn't buying Chinese, price buyer that knows a little bit about your glass, well, then they either move up or they move on, and then somebody else comes in, then you got to resell that store, and that was like three of your stores. All of a sudden, you have no income because that buyer is more worried about your price beating the Chinese catalog, and that hurts, especially when China, dude. I don't even know how. Some of the fuck, man. Some of the things I'm looking at coming out of China, or it would cost me more than that, more than what they're paying to make the damn thing. But then again, I'm getting a lot of my elements and the stuff from China to make the things like that. And so it's the pipe industry is beat. I got to stick to the stuff that isn't normal. I got to have stay a step ahead, and it was kind of hard to do when all the materials locked up on me. I'm still having a hard time finding because I use a lot of big diameter glass for some of my things. I like to make a coffee pot that you can sit on the stove and percolate. And I'm hoping to get one tube of that glass in this shipment. One, not a case, just one tube. I'm excited just to have the damn thing. That's the state of being that COVID has put me in. Um, it ain't pretty, but I'm working around it. If I get this color, I'm gonna get a chest set on and start working on that, and just work from there. I'm not gonna concern myself about it too much. Uh, I've got food in cans. It's called rice and beans, and I love soup. I've been saving that shit. Um, I knew this was coming. We're never getting back to normal. It's just not going to happen. This is it. So, I'm not going to worry myself over it. I've come to the realization that we are in that period. This is it. I can't convince myself of anything else. I've been right about this shit long before they popped it out. I knew what was coming down, and they ain't going to release us from this. Hi, Jacqueline. Good. Energy's been pretty exciting today. It has. Um, Mama's been seeing a lot of energy, and if you're well, if you're on it, you're gonna feel her energy, and it's pretty exciting. I am with you. I've had a good day. What can I say? Mom's a little lopsided. Hmm. Well, see, that's another thing. Gen- Generator. That's another reason I put it down one item at a time because I got all of that at once, and I really, honest to God, at first I thought I had lost my mind, insane. Something had tried to possess me. I had all kinds of things running through my head, except that I had found truth. So, welcome to the club. But that's why I put it in that format. That's the only way a human being should be subjected to that kind of truth, a little bit at a time. How much can you handle? you know, take it at your pace. I had a 6 month battle of sanity when I got all that information at once. Kidding me? And no, I had a meltdown. I was convinced I was hurling through space on a rock with no God in sight, and ended up proving omnipresence and unified field, and Mother Earth is first creation, and she's really a brilliant soul. And we've been lied to. on huge fronts and backs. But I'm not holding a grudge. We've got the truth. We've got more truth than they ever had, and I mean the ones that have us in this system. And I've proven all that stuff too. Prove it. I brought the contract. I used to work for a senator. I don't know what to tell you. My politics are just as on as my magnet, and they're both freaking right online. And you know, I say it again. You can't believe me. That's going to be a detriment to your health. you, you need to know this shit. That way you don't ever have to ask me anything. So yeah, I figured I I could have gone back and reiterated everything in like maybe 100 videos. I mean, that's a truckload of information, and it just keeps coming. The more you look, there's directions everywhere that there's just information, huge reverberating information everywhere you look. It's not a ball game. That's the boats match in Peru and Giza. They might not be boats in Peru, but they sure as fuck look the same. Those people are in the shape of a boat, and those people are standing there in front of the king, just like they are in Giza. You know what I mean? And they correlate. When one changes, the other one changes, and you can see the lineups of we were keeping track globally of the return of these suns. Period. It's nothing magical. It ain't look blue kachina and spirits and no. It's a fucking sun, and we've been talking about this, and it's another sun, and they've been talking about this, and guess what? They're both back now at this time, and that's a reset. As anything I've read and it completely know and understand why, that is a reset. Anything not in the right frequency of creation is going to be taken out with that forceful chord that's struck. And it's going to be just like they said, except you never understood because we had the wrong framework what they were saying in the Bible. Now you understand what that book is telling you. You're in trouble if you ain't got your fucking heart right with Creator. Long story short. That's I don't know why anybody's fighting me. I just proved it in physics. That God, your creator exists in your heart, literally. The words of Jesus. And look who's throwing stones at me. I'm not claiming to be Jesus. I just proved he was very freaking correct. He must have been a physicist. Am I a physicist? I could actually qualify as one, but I've never registered. No, I've been trained and I've studied it every day, like a religion, because it was my religion. It's the only thing I could put my pragmatic thumb on. And it led to omnipresence and reading physics on a wall. Go figure, ding, ding. It was so easy when I looked at it because I'm such a fucking hopeless geek that I looked at the damn wall and I saw nothing but everything I understood. And it freaked me out. Freaked me out because of the paradigm of it. All of a sudden, I'm reading something that nobody else can. What am I, a fucking unicorn? Boy, that became a problem. I thank God the day I saw that Peruvian plane and had the thought, oh my God, don't ask John first. Because I had the thought, because I had seen Kendra had been bugging me with old Lee, and I went over there and watched Lee's shit. And I was like, oh my God, the plane. And I asked John, he drew the shit, and I was like, all right, that's it. Everybody over there, go learn how to read that shit. I'm no longer a unicorn. Cut that fucking horn off. I was so fucking happy. And now thousands of people can read this. That's our language. That's the language of creator. That's not evil. That's the language of creation. Creator put those laws there. How could that be evil? That's, you know what I mean? That people have stigmatized this truth, and they want you to keep separate from the creator because they want to rule over you, and that's not okay. It's not okay, especially in this situation. This situation's life and death. Any other time, be all like, da 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 da, fucking people, life is what it is. But you know what? Life doesn't have to be that way. And we have to get back to basics or there will be no life. See how that works? And it's not such a bad thing getting back to nature. We've just had a dirty version of nature given to us. They're walking around in the damn, and I got to tell you another thing. If you're on instantaneous connection with another magnet, you don't need this. But in the stone, we see them walking around with shit that looks like that. And I know how they could power it without the plug, without the batteries. We've got working models for that too. See how that works? This is fucking amazing what we're stepping into for everybody, including the ones throwing stones. This is something they never dreamed of because they couldn't read it on the walls in their own language of the gods. If the language of the gods tell you, we had no idea. We took the personification of those things which they were drawing and tried to hide them from themselves in freaking clay tablets. That's the language of the gods. Why is that? Because that's the only language that was here on this planet besides the physics we were drawing on the walls. And they didn't know what the hell we were actually talking about. That's what that means, because they told us so. They said we were speechless, but we had a drawing language that they couldn't tell what we were drawing. And then you can look at their drawings compared to ours and see where they expanded the pantheon about the time they started trying to hide us from ourselves, because we were very technical when we were doing that. Oh, we included some really heavy physics in our. Oh, I am really impressed with the stuff I'm finding in Mesoamerica. It's beautiful. It's beautiful, but there's no way they missed that. There's no way all these archaeologists missed all those connections that you can clearly see. Which are, I put a 3-minute video, Peru to Giza. Boom, tell me that's a ball game. Go ahead, ready, go. It ain't. It ain't a ball game. It's Ra and Horus with that planet on his head. He's just got that solar plume, so they moved the planet where it belongs. How you doing, Shifty? And I mean, how many of you gone out and said, "Oh my God, I don't have stars in my north field," because and some of you in the west, because you see the moons over there too. I keep saying, if you go out there at different times of night, depending on where we're at in our fucking swing around, you're going to see some freaking shit. Yeah. Well, how many of you have come back and called me fucking crazy? I'm never going to give you anything you can't look at. I think it's crazy, but you can see it. I'm not the one fucking that's crazy. You open your fucking eyes, there's some shit to see. I'm just Captain Obvious. I'm just going to point out anything that you can see with yourself. I'll never ask you to believe me. I'll ask you to go out there, get you some popcorn, and watch your sky. You can see that shit. It ain't no lens flare. You're at night. Yeah, we right down to the atom. I mean, you can't get more deceitful than that. The world is crazy, and we just kind of made sanity out of it all of a sudden. And I'm trying to give it time and hoping that these power structure people actually get it and let it sink in, because I've only had it for a while myself. It's really paradigm shifting, especially if you've been confused for centuries about what's going on. And things will change, but we got to get the information out there. And it's information that's tangible. So, like I said, if you know it, you don't need me. And that's the beautiful thing about it. I've had just the last couple of weeks, professionals from all sorts of fields that have approached me and from Google searches and stuff. Uh, Amazed, thanking me, of course. And I was like, don't thank me, thank Creator. And how about you just keep spreading the word? He says, I'm already on it, Captain. Talking. Like, what do you mean? Yeah, I'm doing that. I'm like, damn. I've been in a shrimp boat. I've been in the Navy, and I know there's radios to each other about why can't I get a damn bearing and check my GPS because I'm lost out here around. I've watched it. I've watched them running in the reefs. I'm all like, I wonder what the hell them sea captains are doing. Well, homie was doing on Google. He was doing on Google, find out, and he found me, and everything made sense for him. All of a sudden, bam! So he's out there on the radio. He's like, I found it. Man, I don't even think any of them know my name. There's tens of thousands of sea captains. Right now, watch your moon. Look at your navigate. That's going to tell you what's going on. We're on our side. Boom, boom. Argument over. They know Daza on the planet is going to be able to tell a seafaring man how to take airing laying down on the fucking deck of this ship. Because you don't do that. Every time these trolls get, no, you gotta lay down and do the cross in a long part of the hypotenuse, and it's a fracas over there. And it's like, no, dude. So it's futile. They've been jumping on me for years, and I didn't have anything except for the straight knowledge of a naval helmsman qualified sailor that moon ain't supposed to be going wax to wane. If I didn't have that and my life had depended on it, and 1,000 people's lives hadn't depended on it at one point in my life, I probably would have folded years ago and been thought I might have been crazy. I don't know. Maybe it's always done that. I know it has not. Nobody can convince me it has. Period. So that was their first problem. I don't care how many videos you make, that's just going to piss me off. I'm going to grab more wiki pages in the dictionary and a preschool video, the lunar phase, and start marching that around. And I did before I was ever making. I wanted someone. I didn't realize there was actual paid agents. You know what I mean? I didn't. I just. I didn't. I didn't realize there was actual paid agents, and I fought that shit, thinking they were just ignorant of the truth. And it took me a long time. I'm fucking king fucktard to understand that those are not ignorant people. Okay. I started out thinking that I lived on a rock hurling through space with no God in sight. I thought I came online and was dealing with ignorant people. And I've found both of those are the furthest from the fucking truth that I could ever imagine. Well, when it rose tonight, the bunny was standing straight up. The ears were straight up like that. And by morning, the bunny ears are going to be down there. Now it's pretty full. It doesn't have the shadow on it. You know when it's really dramatic? When it's got that shadow on it, because the shadow's flipping with it in unison, tick, 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 across your sky in 12 hours. All you got to do is look at it, go in, take 8-hour nap, wake up, look at it in the morning. That sucker is going to be upside down on the western horizon from where it rose. The bunny ears on top, bunny ears on bottom, shadow on top, shadow on bottom. You should never see a 180-degree roll of that shadow. I don't care if them fucking craters are rocking and rolling. They've never done. Man in the Moon is very famous for not doing that, but it is, and it's taking the shadow with it. There's only one way to. I don't think that. I mean, look, that shadow is pretty steady, right? I'm looking at it. I can bounce the damn thing, roll it the whole way. It doesn't move 1 inch. It's got to be you. It's got to be you. Bend over. Does that do I flip? Does the shadow flip? Bend over. Because you spinning circles like the earth is beside the screen ain't gonna flip shit. There's you a working model, for God's sake. Okay, but shadow. I mean, that sucker was flying, right? Shadow stayed exactly where it's us. We turned on our side. It's not. This happened 10 years ago. Don't panic. do 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 da 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 da. Ah, simple as that. No problem. We're pointed a little bit more towards towards the sun with the North Pole. That's why this is melting and this is growing. That is also why. See, here's our moon. This is the way it usually works, right? NASA said so, and it the degrees every 12 hours every night. It moves 6 points. It may as well be laying steady. So when you come back around, it should be really close to the same position it rose the night before, depending on our of 23 degrees, and it comes back in 1 month. And that's what you're seeing on the NASA ISWAL. But here's the problem. Now you're seeing that motherfucker rising 12 degrees different every night, bouncing around our fucking planet. It disappears an extra day, takes an extra day to come around. Everybody's like, da, 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 da. Well, that's why. And that's why you can see it in the daytime, because it's backlit with an ultraviolet sun that lights white things brighter. Drops the mic. That's what you're looking at. Nothing to panic about. Like I said, happened 10 years ago. All these pole shifter shit, I talked to them. I tried to give them the proof. How can you deny that? How deny it? How can you deny it's us? We tilted. We're rolling like this. That never happened before. Now it is. Your own eyes can tell you that. Your own eyes can tell you that. I don't need to tell you now. And you can tell somebody else and wake up your neighborhood. You don't need to use my name to do it. That's the beauty of truth. Because if you're working with a lie, it's really hard job to beat truth that you can see with your eye and verify individually. There's 7 billion motherfuckers out there that need to know that their government has not told them about this in about 10 years and 5 months. So we can stop serving those masters. That would be really cool. And we need to start getting along. We need to drop the hate and realize why we've been driven to hate, because we're supposed to love each other and they fear that. You want to scare them? Start loving the people across the seas as your brothers and sisters. Across your border, I don't give a fuck where you're at. because they're children of creation. They magnet. I don't care if they're a fake white person like myself. I've got a magnet. You need a shield right now. A lot of them, because you're coming into a supernova event. So I don't give a fuck what you think about your neighbor. You better start loving your neighbor, because your ass depends on your neighbor understanding their magnet. I'm talking in the big picture. And, I don't know what's so horrible about that fucking message, but it's being attacked. I'm being attacked. I've had enough. I know who's attacking me, and I'm putting my fucking foot down, and they're making even fucking more noise. I don't care. I haven't even started getting noisy. Every time they get noisy, something they make fools of themselves. It's incredible. When you're working with a lie against truth like this, it's got to be a very difficult job. Is all I got to say. I'd hate to have that fucking job. Fuck that. It's yeah. It's well, go outside at night. Are you casting a shadow? You're casting a shadow tonight. How are your crops sleeping? That's going to make that's going to make male female plants hermaphroditics. You're casting shadows every night. That corn died at 2 foot tall because you're casting shadows at night. Wasn't no drought. I sat here and watched this fucking rain come out every night across these cornfields this last summer, and it still died. I live in the middle of Cowtown. They're gonna tell you we're in an extreme drought, and that's why the fucking corn died. I watched the fucking shit. They had their damn sprayers out. What are you talking about? All the way into fucking the whole globe. The GMO, China, the whole globe. We had fucking huge storms and everything, but now everybody's in a fucking severe drought, and it's called the COVIDs. They're throwing excuses everywhere, and no, you look around, that shit died. Our papers are literally running stories about China's crops all dead and their meat markets paying for it. And I'm sitting here telling you, our crops are all dead and your meat market's going to pay for it. I live in the middle of Cowtown. I'm watching it. And started making flowers inside the fruits. Yes, absolutely. That is, yes. That fuck up a grow room for an hour. You do that for an hour in the middle of the night, fucking it fucks up a grow room. Bam, you're done. I've never seen shadows at night until recently. And it clicked. I was like, oh my God. It's it's that fucking UV ultraviolet sun that we can't see that's making everything bright at night, killing the corn and making all the damn vegetables fruit inside themselves. Weird shit. Huge recalls of all the vegetables and shit. Weird shit going on, man. Well, I know why. It just makes sense why. That's why. Yeah, everybody's starting to be attacked now. Anybody that talks to me is direct attacks, usually by agents. Same people. They monitor my chat and then they go to your place. They'll follow you around the internet into your public places where you're talking to people, and they'll just start talking about stuff that you're not talking about in the public place. It's like, the fuck? How did you find me over here? Because they're actually funded through fucking Google. And I've made videos proving the fucking funding coming through this shit for two of them in particular. I haven't looked at that was enough at the time, and then all of a sudden it started getting fucking crazier with more and more people, and then I see the same person everywhere, and it just happens to be Bill Gates' fucking partner. Lesser known, more influential. Bill Gates known for Microsoft. This motherfucker's into everything. What everything. I'm like, oh my god, why? Wait a minute. He's not just a rogue preacher mad at me because I'm reading canon. I'm stupid. It took me a long time to figure all these things out. I've got a lot of fucking years of evidence because I screen record and snapshot everything, and I always have. I've got reams. It'd take a fucking 3 weeks to go through this shit that I've got. I hear they get $5 a comment too if they're drawn in. But the thing is, most of them, like Lockwood and that shit, most of the people viewing his channel are the people going out and they'll mirror it, like Gay J and them. They work together. It's a web of people that Derek Bros has chosen to do his shit, and he shows up on their page all the time. And it took me years to put it together. I was like, why is this? Are you fucking? And once it finally hit me, I'm all like, oh my god, this is not a troll. Yeah, I'm not. This isn't it. No, I'm just letting you know. It fucking blew my mind. I ain't saying you're a troll. I'm telling you what's going on. It fucking blew my mind. Hi, dog. And cover him at night. There you go. That's a good way to do it, dog. Show somebody. Be like, look, man, you're getting too bright at night. Cover half of your crops if you can. That's a beautiful idea. I don't think you are either, Tinfoil. I don't think any of you are trolls. Everybody seems to troll. Uh-oh. You may get the swirly thing. My connection's unstable. Hmm. Hmm. Didn't expect that, huh? Interesting. Sorry. Well, take a rest. Shifting. It's what I've noticed is the best thing in the world I begin with that conical hat, dingly cobra over that familiar eye. I just don't want to type it, but I begin with that. See my thumbnail? I don't drop a link anymore. I describe it, and I say behind Earth on NASA ISWA satellites. Yeah, we were pretty smart, and we knew that once we saw these things, we'd understand what we were writing ourselves globally. Would you like to learn? Click the thumbnail. I no longer get 30, 40 comments on my stupid link that people are like, oh, you're a freak, blah, blah, blah. I don't get that anymore. They click on the thumbnail. I had one person in this last couple of weeks that I started doing that, be all like, what are you talking about? And I was like, what, you can't follow the instructions? And I didn't, I've never heard back from them. Because I think they clicked the nail and found out what I was talking about. I know, but when you put it in their face like that, it's like, and make it interesting, like, oh, wait a minute, I can go read the global language. We know what we were talking about. Yes, we do. And it's really interesting. And next thing you know, I see new people climbing all over my page. So it's working. Just give them something at an interest. Just you don't have to like boom explode their head off. It's like look at your right here's Ra with conical hat and dingly cobra behind Earth on NASA ISWA satellites. We were brilliant and knew that when we saw these things coming again, we would understand what we were drawing all over the world on those rocks. Would you like to learn? And just that's it. I ask them a question. I tell them what I found, and would you like to learn? Boom. Dude, I get nothing back because they click the fucking thumbnail. I know what they're doing. They're clicking the thumbnail because they used to sit there and call me crazy names. Now they're clicking the thumbnail because I figured out how to make them click the damn thumbnail. It took years to do so. I'm telling you how to make them pay attention. Give them something interesting. Ask them a question. Pop it off. Boom. Spam that. Give them raw. It's very effective. Controlled sunlight in the day. Yeah, you should shade that too. Yeah, you got to give them something they can look at. Interest them. Make them interested. Make it their choice to look. That's the secret to opening someone's eyes. Make it their choice to look. And that is very difficult to do sometimes. Well, hmm, that's a hard one. Well, you planted a seed. The day's going to come. He's going to shit his pants, piss his pants. He's going to have fertilizer and water all at once, and that you watch that seed grow. It's coming. Just stand there and hold his heart for him. That's all you can do. You'll see. There ain't going to be fucking if he's around. There ain't going to be a choice but see what's going on. We have to roll behind the sun. It's behind us. You don't want to be in this position. We'll be zapped. That's all there is to it. We're already being crunched. So we're going to go shoot back there. And that day, everybody's going to shit themselves. I'm included. So I don't know what that looks like. It's got to be spectacular. Because, woo, yay! But yeah, he'll be like on his pants, and he'd be like, "See, I told you, don't do that. Give him a hug. It'll be okay." Do you hear that? That's your mom singing to you. Here she's giving you instructions. Let's go. It's gonna be kind of like that. Good. Yeah. Well, that my son took the moon up to the high school. It was a everyday topic with the teachers because they noticed too. The kids were talking about it. The teachers were talking about it. Um, it's something anybody can look at. That moon is in the sky right now, and it's at a good point to be watching it. You know, the shadow's not on it tonight, but you can see the bunny ears. They was straight up further than on top, and then they'll be down at the 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock position in the morning when you go to work in the morning, right before it sets. That's how easy it is to notice. You just gotta, I guess, at some point have somebody point it out. A lot of people missed it for 10 years. Every night for 10 years. It's been bugging me. And I'm glad y'all look it. Thank God. It's an amazing sight to behold, watching that fucking sky flip and knowing it shouldn't. Have a good night, generator. Keep watching them older flicks. Go to my oldest ones and work your way back. Don't pay attention to what's going on up front. I'm battling stuff. You keep an eye. If I tell you you might like pay attention to those human frequency ones. Actually, look at the human ones. The ones that I tell you is life dependent. You might want to watch those and the old ones. Skip the rest of them, and you have a good night. No, you're never alone. So rest easy. Yeah, dog, they're going to be spraying heavy to keep these as they can. You know, they need that power on, so people are looking at their programming. They need the programming to keep on, keep running. I'm gonna have to go turn on my oxygen. Oh crap! I want to pull out some more blue core for these pawns. Maybe overlay a couple and then cross my fingers that my UPS shipment comes in tomorrow. We can actually start fucking. I could start an actual schedule and start working at least this week until my material's gone again. Now I will have work on the chess set as it goes, I guess, until it's done. But that is going to be a longer process because it's going to be sculpted. I don't know how long that's going to take. And I've got a phoenix to make and another elephant. So I might be busy for a couple of weeks. Oh, might be busy for a couple of weeks. Nice. That'll be a nice change. Depends on how long that fucking 38 tube holds out, really. a bigger diameter tubing is still a little bit difficult to find. Like I said, I've only got one tube of it coming, so oh well, I'll find another. Like I said, it's just back ordered again, so take what I can get though, right? Nice, my dingly cobras. Fuck. Amazing, amazing shit. Tonight we're going to be, I forget what book we're on. It's the end of days though. We're doing the Zachariah Sitchin. Uh, here's the playlist link. Give you all that. This gives you the end of days and the um, Lost Book of Inky. Those are both read by Josh Reeves. He's a little bit, he's God, he's a little bit overboard sometimes because it's exciting reading 6,000-year-old fucking alien incest porn. It just is. So he gets a little excited about Inky pouring everything in, everything. Anyways, he's got a really good narrative because he's pretty awake, but he of course doesn't have the information we have. So throughout a lot of these readings, he thinks they've left for some reason. He keeps blaming the people in the power structure today, and I'm all like, well, as if they're not the same fucking power structure. It's crazy. Oh my god, that's fucking awesome shifting. See, that's all you need to do right there. Bam. Thank you. I fucking love that. I love that's all I ever want. Somebody to look at their fucking sky. That's amazing. It's great. It's beautiful. It's fucking that's why I'm here. So you can do that. And the next thing you know, you'll be looking at stones and you can read them because you looked at something else you never knew. It's fucking amazing. Uh I appreciate you too, Daniel. You're a very brilliant person. And I appreciate you fucking excuse me. Fucking good hash. I appreciate you looking too. All of you. That's all I've ever wanted, for God's sake. Just somebody look and understand what we're looking at, because we should really be looking at that instead of our neighbors in hate. You do a lot of good work, Daniel, is what I'm saying. You're actively researching all the time, and I really appreciate that. I really do. It's we need more people with magnets like yours. Excuse me again. Oh, same excuse. Good hash. I was working on that. I'm still working on that fucking bowl. I was working with John. I'd hit it every now and again. It's got some good fucking hash in there. blueberry on top of grape pie shake. So I get these ounces of shake. I mean, it's not real buds, but I mean, look at all the teeth. It's really good shake. And that's to put a little bit of hash on top of that shit. And like I said, man, that's lasted me an hour here. And John and I had a 4 hour show like 6 hours ago. So I don't really smoke a lot of weed, but I'm trying to work this bowl and finish it so I can get another freshie going. I'll pack a smaller one. I don't know if I'm gonna get through this one. So I just shook it up again and it's like brand new again. And I'm like, God dang it. I got problems. Hang on a second. And then I take little pussy hits because I'm afraid I'll kill myself. Mm. I do feel it, dog. That's that's a beautiful thing. I didn't realize what all that was. You know, where any of the stimulants were coming from in life, and how to actually be sensitive to it. And it really freaking helps when you're trying to deal with people. Uh, use it. Use your intuition. Use your magnet. Feel their intent. It's a very powerful pulse. It'll come through pretty clear. And once you start understanding that, boy, that really starts. Because I'll get red flags. Just I'll see somebody in chat, and boom, all of a sudden I'm all like, eh. And it'll come from here, not here. Oh God. I already hear Seamus yelling no. He's up there, he said no. You're causing her to whine. that's that's coincidence, dog. Oh, I'm complaining about her right now to her. Here on his computer, I can hear him. He just God. My girl feels you, girl. She's all whining and shit. This is some funny shit. This is fucking awesome. I'm trying to listen to him because he's saying, I don't think he's talking to her now. He's talking to his friend. She's driving him so crazy. He's about to get up right now and go walk the dogs by himself. I ain't got to go up there and tell him walk his dogs. That's some funny shit. That's some fucking absolutely funny shit. It's well, I know it's not coincidence. I think it's funny as shit because I heard her whining and him yelling, and he's up there fucking hitting the chain. Like, God dang it, dog. He keeps telling her, "Give me a minute. Give me a minute." He's in the middle of a game. He's telling his friend, "Hey, after this, I gotta take the damn dog." That's some funny shit. You're, you're fucking with my kid and my dogs right now. That's good. That's good stuff. Intent. Anything on the magnet instantaneously across the distance. For God's sake. She types that shit and Patches goes, Seamus goes, shut up. I'm like, oh my God, no. poor, poor shit. He's in torment. That's good stuff. I gotta go turn on my oxygen. It's getting about time to fucking kick it on, isn't it? It's good shit. It's still a little early. Oh yeah, I was working on that bowl, wasn't I? I'm more excited about pulling out this Latino. I've got some ready. Ugh. Yeah, I'm gonna need some more. So we'll pull that out. Here, let me turn on Josh for you. I gotta go crank on the oxygen and get rid of some of that coffee real quick. I'll be back.
The resort to nuclear weapons at the end of the 21st century BCE ushered, one could say, with a bang, the era of Marduk. It was, in almost all respects, truly a new age, even the way we understand the term nowadays. Its greatest paradox was that while it made man look to the heavens, it brought the gods of the heavens down to earth. The changes that the new age has wrought affect us to this day. For Marduk, the new age was a wrong righted, an ambition attained, prophecies fulfilled, the price paid, the desolation of Sumer, the flight of its gods, the decimation of its people was not his doing. If anything, those who suffered were punished for obstructing destiny. The unforeseen nuclear storm, the evil wind in its course that seemed selectively guided by an unseen hand, only confirmed what the heavens proclaimed. The age of Marduk, the age of the ram, has arrived. The change from the age of the bull to the age of the ram was especially celebrated and marked in Marduk's homeland, Egypt. Astronomical depictions of the heavens, such as the Dendera temple, showed the constellation of the ram as the focal point of the zodiacal cycle. The list of zodiacal constellations began not with the bull as in Sumer, but with the ram. The most impressive manifestations were the rows of ram-headed sphinxes that flanked the processional way to the great temples in Karnak, whose construction by pharaohs of the newly established Middle Kingdom began right after Ra Marduk's ascent to supremacy. And if you want to see, really, the best representation of Marduk that to me that's ever been captured is in the movie Stargate, not the TV show and SG-1, but the just original one with Kirk Douglas. Because that's, and I mean, they show Ra Marduk as this, he's an alien, and he inhabits the body of this, kid, and he, the alien takes on the body, and he looks like a human, but he's an alien. Then when they kill him at the end, you can see his, I don't want to ruin it for you if you haven't seen the movie, but if you've never seen the movie, or maybe it's been a long time, by the way, you can get, I don't know, for those of you out there who have Blu-ray players, the Blu-ray players are really cheap now. You can get them for like $40, $50. Around Christmas, they're like 30 in some places. And the Blu-rays are really cheap too. You can get Stargate on Blu-ray for $5. I got it at Target for $5 on Blu-ray, dude. Yeah, they got Running Man for $5 too on Blu-ray. You can't beat it. There's some good deals, and the quality is superb. But yeah, Stargate. I mean, that's. They show Ra as an extraterrestrial in that movie. That movie was made like 1994, 1995. So if you watch that movie, or if you haven't watched it in a while, go watch it. All the stuff that we're reading here is, you're just going to go, oh my God, they're throwing it right in our faces. They were pharaohs who were born theophoric names honoring Amun and Amen.
Fucking so beautiful moonbow out tonight.
Marduk, Ra as Amen. Amen, Ra. Yeah, he was the monotheistic.
Beautiful moonbow.
He brought in monotheism.
Yeah, he did.
That's what the one God said. It was always multiple gods. That's where the Holy Trinity comes from. The Father, Son, the Holy Ghost. Yeah, it's Isis, Osiris, and Horus. That's the original Trinity. That's where the whole thing comes from. The unseen for Marduk. Yeah, let me just throw this in. Every time you're around the dinner table at Christmas or something, you say Amen. Just make sure you say Amen Ra at the end. And if your relatives ask you questions about it, just say, hey, well, I'm taking the monotheistic sun god from the, old dynasties of Egypt.
Nah, really.
Where it comes from.
Okay, yeah, pretty much. Ra.
The unseen for Marduk, absenting himself from Egypt, selected Babylon and Mesopotamia to be his eternal city. Both Marduk and Nabu survived the nuclear maelstrom unharmed, although Nabu was personally targeted by Nergal. He apparently hid on one of the Mediterranean islands and escaped harm. How did he dump the indicator mechanism there while he was there too? That's interesting. It would be in the Mediterranean. That's where we found that at. The clockwork meshing gear mechanism that accurately, thousands of years before we had any kind of gears like that, found off the coast in the Mediterranean. Subsequent text, his own cult called Borsippa. But he continued to roam and be worshipped in his favorite lands of the West.
Mm-hmm.
His veneration both there and in Mesopotamia is attested to by sacred places named in his honor, such as Mount Nebo near the Jordan River, where Moses later died, and the theophoric royal names such as Nebuchadnezzar, Nebuchadnezzar, and many others around Nebuchadnezzar. Yeah, that's where that comes from. By which famous kings of Babylon were called, and whose name, as we have noted, became synonymous with prophet and prophecy throughout the Near East. Marduk himself, it will be recalled, was asking until when from his command post in Haran when the fateful event took place. In his autobiographical text, the Marduk prophecy, he envisioned the coming of a messianic time when gods and men will recognize his supremacy, and peace shall replace war, and abundance will banish suffering. When a king of his choice will make Babylon the foremost, when the assagial temple, as its name meant, raising its head to heaven. A king in Babylon will arise. In my city Babylon in its midst, my temple to heaven he will raise. The mountain-like Esagiel will renew the ground plan of heaven and earth. For the mountain-like Esagiel he will draw. The gate of heaven will be opened, the Stargate. In my city, Babylon, a king will arise. In abundance he will reside. My head he will grasp. He will lead me in processions to my city, and my temple is settled. For eternity I shall enter. The new Tower of Babel, however, was not intended, as the first one was, as a launch tower. His supremacy, Marduk recognized, was now stemming not only from the possession of a physical space connection, or a stargate, but from the signs of heaven, in the zodiacal celestial time, for the position and movement of the celestial bodies, the Kakaboo, the stars and planets of heaven. Accordingly, he envisioned the future of Usagil as the reigning astronomical observatory, making redundant Minerva's Ininu and the varied stone hinges erected by Thoth. When the Esagil was eventually built, it was a ziggurat erected according to detailed and precise plans.
His brother.
Its height, the spacing of the 7 stages, and its orientation were such that its head pointed directly to the star Iku, the lead star of the constellation of the Ram, circa 1960 BCE. The nuclear apocalypse and its unintended consequences brought to an abrupt end the debate regarding whose zodiacal age it was. Celestial time was now Marduk's time, but the god's planet Nibiru was still orbiting and clocking divine time, and Marduk's attention shifted to that. As his prophecy text made clear, he now envisioned astronomer priests scanning the sky from the ziggurat stages for the rightful planet of Isayu. Omen knowers put to service shall then ascend in its midst. Left and right, on opposite sides, they shall separately stand. The king will then approach the rightful Kakaboo of the Esagil over the land he will observe. A star religion was born. The god Marduk became a star. A star, we call it a planet. Nibiru became Marduk. So see, they were calling, what they referred to as stars in the text were actually planets. I think that's where a lot of the confusion comes from people. I have this pressure from people a lot.
No.
Nibiru became Marduk. Religion became astronomy. Astronomy became astrology.
They're really stars.
In conformity with the new star religion, the epic of creation, the Enuma Elish, was revised in its Babylonian version so as to grant Marduk a celestial dimension.
That's
it did not just come from Nibiru, he was Nibiru.
All of a sudden,
written in Babylonian, the dialectic of Akkadian, Semitic mother language, he credited Marduk with Nibiru, the home planet of the Anunnaki, and gave the name Marduk to the great star planet that had come from the deep space to avenge both the celestial Ea and the one on Earth. So see, this is explaining that out, which people ask me about that. Why do they refer to them as planets? You know, this is what they're telling you. It thus made Marduk the Lord in heaven as on earth. His destiny in the heavens, his orbit, was the greatest of all the celestial gods, the other planets. Paralleling that, he was destined to be the greatest of the Anunnaki gods on earth. The revised epic of creation was read publicly on the 4th night of the New Year festival. It credited Marduk with the defeat of the monster, Tiamat, in the celestial battle, the creation of Earth. That's right, because the planet Tiamat was destroyed. And supposedly that's where all the water on Earth came from. The Tiamat was a water planet. And in fact, when seen from Earth, it appeared as if, as in Star Wars, it looks like on Tatooine, there's 2 suns. Well, supposedly that's what it looked like before the destruction of Tiamat. You could look at, there appeared to be 2 suns from Earth, but actually it was a water planet, Tiamat, and when they destroyed it, all the water came rushing down. Some people believe that's where actually how the Great Flood happened. And all of the pieces that broke away from it, some slammed into Earth and created meteors, and others broke up and became the asteroid belt. That's what the waters above the firmament mean in the book of Genesis, folks. Read the book of Genesis. It says the waters above the firmament. That's what they're talking about. The waters rushing down to Earth above the firmament in the asteroid belt. And all the feats that in the original Sumerian version were attributed to the planet Nibiru as part of a sophisticated scientific cosmology. The new version then credited Marduk even with the artful fashioning of man, with devising the calendar, and with the selection of Babylon to be the navel of Earth. So this guy, he just went ahead and just set himself up to credit for everything, even though there were many other Anunnakis and stuff like that were involved in it. It's interesting. So this Marduk Ra character, I mean, this is the guy where all monotheism comes from. I mean, it's just a classic example. These guys just took turns setting themselves up as gods. The New Year Festival, the most important religious event of the year, began on the first day of the month of Nisan, coinciding with the spring equinox. Calling it in Babylon the Akidi Festival, it evolved there into a 12-day-long celebration from the Sumerian 10-day Akidi on Earth Bring Life Festival. Sounds like fucking Burning Man or something. Sumerian Burning Man, but that was a hoot. It was conducted according to an elaborately defined ceremonies and pre-described rituals that reenacted in Sumer the tale of Nibiru and the coming of the Anunnaki to Earth, as well as in Babylon, the life story of Marduk. It included episodes from the Pyramid Wars, when he was sentenced to die in a sealed tomb and his resurrection. This stuff's just great, man. I mean, that's all that George Lucas and all these clowns, just genius minds of sci-fi. Bullshit. These genius minds of sci-fi didn't do anything but go read old fucking Sumerian texts. They figured nobody'd ever, notice. And put that stuff in there. That's why why do you think it is that people view Star Wars as a religion? Because there's so much real stuff in it that's taken from religious texts and ancient teachings and Sumerian texts and all that. That's why Star Wars, and most people don't even know it because it operates on a subconscious level. That's why as kids we were all drawn to it. Because it's working on these levels with archetypes and myths and religions and teachings and stuff like that. It's operating on these things, and we have such a genetic history, a genetic memory of these things that they resonate with us subconsciously when we see them. That's why sci-fi. That's why there's such things. That's why people who are into sci-fi. That's why they're nerds. Because it seems to be that the people that are, a little bit inherently different from everybody else always gravitate towards it. That's why. So, yes, fellow sci-fi nerds, as I am, and I'm not as big a nerd as some are, but I am a nerd nonetheless. Now you don't have to feel like such a freak, dude. There's a reason why you like this shit's not your fault. It's in our genetic memory. These fuckers are exploiting it, and we're giving them billions of dollars. George Lucas is a billionaire. And all he did was take a bunch of stuff that was in ancient texts and ancient teachings and, create a mythology around it. The Pyramid Wars. I love that. Kind of sounds like the Clone Wars, doesn't it? When he was sentenced to die in a sealed tomb and his resurrection when he was brought out alive, that sounds familiar. You had never heard that story before, have you? And his resurrection when he was brought out of it alive. His appearance of human passion plays with actors visually and vividly presented Marduk to the people as a suffering god. Suffering on earth is finally victorious by gaining supremacy through a heavenly counterpart. They cooked up religion and everything for the one God, all creator from Marduk.
There's the one God all created, not Marduk.
The New Testament's Jesus story was also so similar that scholars and theologians in Europe debated a century ago whether Marduk was the prototype Jesus.
Him and Mirjagita combined, yeah. And Mirjagita is named the teacher of man.
I just take credit for doing everything. And we took a whole worldwide religious pressure off this. Congratulations, we're free.
And Marduk taught
Diane and what those guys that went over on me anymore. Not going to be fooled by that again.
And Mirjagita
dust yourself up, pick yourself up, and keep on moving on and trucking on for information and enlightenment and your own personal knowledge. We're going to get there, and we're not going to stop and more good about it every day. The ceremony continued in two parts. The first involved a solitary boat ride by Marduk across the river to a structure called Akati, the house of Akiti. The other took place within the city itself. It is evident that the solitary part symbolized Marduk's celestial travel from the home planet's outer location in space to the inner solar system, a journey in a boat upon water. In conformity with the concept that interplanetary space was a primeval watery deep to be traversed by celestial boats, spacecraft, a concept represented graphically in Egyptian art, where the celestial gods were depicted as coursing in the sky. In celestial boats. Well, that's interesting about the celestial boats. That's another thing.
They got people in them.
I've been looking at some of these depictions of tunnel systems that go underneath the pyramids in Giza and underneath the Sphinx and go all the way into inner Earth and come out in the middle of this huge, gigantic ocean inside of the inner Earth.
Yeah, imagine that.
And so a lot of people have believed those boats to be spaceships or be symbolic, but some of my research has shown me that those boats actually may have actually been, because they found some that were actually full size that they built, the Egyptians built. And so it may not be that those were, those ships were spaceships as ascension things, but actually ships that went through these supposed tunnels and these tunneling systems that went into inner Earth.
That's something different.
It was upon Marduk's successful return from the outer and holy Big Akadi that the public festivities began. Most public and joyous ceremonies started with the greeting of Marduk at the wharf by other gods and his accompaniment by the king and priests in a sacred procession, attended by ever larger growing crowds. The description of the procession and its route were so detailed that they guided the archaeologists who excavated ancient Babylon. From the text inscribed on clay tablets and from the unearthed topography of the city, it emerged that there were 7 stations at which the sacred procession made stops for prescribed rituals. The stations bore both Sumerian and Anunnaki within the solar system, from Pluto to Earth, the 7th planet, and in Babylon, the stations in Marduk's life story, his divine birth in the pure place, how his birthright and his entitlement to supremacy was denied.
What were you asking about? Why did they march the king 7 miles there, and all that stuff that just recently happened?
Exile, and how in the end even the great gods Anu and Enlil bowed to destiny and proclaimed.
Want me to rewind that?
The original Sumerian epic of creation extended over 6 tablets, paralleled by the biblical 6 days of creation.
Told you hang out
long
enough.
God rested on the 7th day, using it to review its handiwork. The Babylonian revision
They're
of the epic
repeating the same
culminated
thing
with
right
the
there.
7th tablet.
Right there.
It was entirely devoted
Same
to the
ceremony you
glorification
just
of Marduk,
witnessed, what, last
by the
week?
granting to him of 50 names.
Right there.
An act that symbolized the assumption of him of the rank of 50. That was until then Enlil's, into which Ninurta had been in line. Starting with his traditional name, Marduk, son of the pure place, the names alternating between Sumerian and Akkadian granted him epithets that range from the creator of all to the Lord who fashioned heaven and earth.
Look at that shit. Did you
and
hear
other titles relating to the celestial battle with Tiamat and the creation of the earth and the moon. That's the whole problem with religion, folks. Careful you're not worshiping some alien who tried to set himself up as a god just because he happened to have more technology than you.
Yeah. Try not to do that.
Other titles relating to the celestial battle with Tiamat and the creation of the earth and the moon, foremost of all the gods, a lotter of tasks to the well, that's the that's the same as the Hindu gods. The Hindu gods have the same thing.
Yeah.
There's it's one of the buildings. I think it might be the Trammell Crow building downtown Dallas.
Yeah, it's everybody can
know. The Rockefeller Miniature. They've got a big Eastern art exhibit. They have like the 50 names of Shiva, the 50 names of one of the Hindu, one of the Hindu gods. Yeah, that's where that 50 name comes. That's interesting because what are the Hindu gods always? Well, they're like straight up aliens, like blue skin, an avatar or something. So that's interesting, and we see that correlation there. I don't see Mr. Sitchin pointing that out here.
No, everybody kind of misses that, Josh. It's amazing how everybody misses that.
Yeah, these Hindu gods have 50 names as well.
Everybody misses it, except for Josh.
Other names included a lotter of tasks to the Agigi and to the Anunnaki and their commander, the god who maintains life, the god who revives the dead.
Josh Reeves caught that shit.
Well, that's interesting.
You know why? Josh Reeves does his whole work.
Lord of all the lands, the god whose decisions and benevolence sustain mankind, the people he had fashioned, bestower of cultivation, who causes rains to enrich the crops, allocates fields and heaps abundance for gods and people alike.
understand.
Finally, he was granted the name Nibiru. He who shall hold the crossing of heaven to earth. Now, I find that interesting there, that Sitchin would put that in there, because if that's true, and what we already have read and talked about last night was true, then these individuals like Marduk taking on these names of these planets has both a celestial counterpart and an earthly counterpart. So they called Marduk Ra, he who shall hold the crossing of heaven and earth. He was Nibiru. So Marduk is Nibiru. Ra is Nibiru.
It's his title.
And he who shall hold the crossing of heaven and earth is he who controls the Stargate. Now, isn't that interesting that movie, Stargate, that's exactly what it is. Ra is trying to control the Stargate. So we've been running around, or not we, I've never believed in that Nibiru bullshit, but people have been running around, worried about this planet, the destroyer, and meanwhile it's a sun. It's actually the guy who one God world religion came from.
It's a sun.
The monotheistic system of religion came from this guy.
It's a sun.
He's the one that controls the Stargate.
It's a sun. But Marduk took on that personification.
So that means that if,
and became Ra. The sun.
Nibiru is supposed to return soon.
Not the
that doesn't
sun.
mean that this planet's going to come near us and going to destroy Earth. It means that this guy who set himself up as
works. He's confused as fuck
ruler
when he's
once
reading this shit.
May very well open the Stargate and come through and set himself up as the all divine supreme ruler yet again.
No, he's right behind your ass. The real Ra. Not Marduk. Marduk's dead.
And boy, that would be fitting, because that would fit right in line with
Marduk
the status
died.
quo of today. He'd probably be very happy with how the world's being ran.
Marduk died in Alexander the Great.
Well, that's interesting. That changes everything, doesn't it? Because that really does. It kind of changes the perspective of it. So does that mean that all these people have been thinking that Nibiru is a planet and going to come back and destroy us have actually been misinterpreting that?
No, you're
That's
misinterpreting
been perpetrated because people did not look at the fact that
you'll understand later.
It's extraterrestrial aliens who set himself up as a god that all world religions to this day still follow.
He actually gets it later on.
We're still in the age of Marduk, aren't we?
It's too great.
He's gone and he's going to come back or something. Well, that's interesting. Wow. That'd be perfect. That's probably what they'll be talking to. That'd be perfect for that. If he can come back and set him king and boom, that'd probably be great. And the bloodlines is well, you can see where the bloodlines go back to Marduk here. So
no, they're still here, Josh.
The show.
They're still here.
Oh, this is wonderful. So we're gonna have to. Somebody get fucking. Somebody needs to get. Kirk Douglas. I'm not Kirk Douglas. What, is that his name? Kirk Douglas? Yeah, Kirk Douglas.
It'll work.
And get him on the phone and tell him when he just get Snake Plissken up here immediately. Tell him we're going to need to we need to scare off Amon Ra when he comes back to set himself up. The cockaboo, which in the skies is brilliant, he who the watery deep systems of courses, let crossing be his name. May he uphold the courses of the stars in heaven, of the stars in heaven. May he shepherd the heavenly gods and sheep. With the title 50, the great gods proclaimed him. He whose name is 50, the gods made supreme. The long text states in conclusion. When the night-long reading of the 7 tablets was completed, it probably was dawn by then. The priest who conducted the ritual service made the following prescribed pronouncements. Let the 50 names be kept in mind. Let the wise knowing discuss them. Let the father recite them to his son. Let the ears of shepherds and herdsmen be opened. Let them rejoice in Marduk, the enlil of the gods, whose order is firm, whose command is unalterable. The utterance of his mouth no god can change. When Marduk appeared in sight of the people, he was dressed in magnificent vestments that put to shame the simple wool garments of the olden gods of Samir and Akkad. Though Marduk was an unseen god in Egypt, his veneration and acceptance there took hold rather quickly. A hymn to Ra Amun that glorified the god by a variety of names in emulation of the Akkadian 50 names called him the Lord of the gods.
And that was begun by Amenhotep.
In the midst of the horizon, a celestial god who made the entire earth, as well as the god on earth, who created mankind and made the beasts, who created the fruit tree, made herbage and gave life to cattle. A god for whom the sixth day is celebrated.
Now, if he made herbage, you can't fault him for everything.
In the biblical creation tales.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We heard about that,
According
didn't
to
we?
these expressions of faith on earth in Egypt,
He and Enki went to heaven and brought back he and Nergal went to fucking heaven and brought back with Cain and Abel both. Or was it no? The Dominant they took to heaven.
In the heavens, he was unseen because he was far away in heaven.
Yeah.
Because he went to the rear of the horizon, to the highest heaven. Yeah. So this guy, he's either jumping back and forth to the Stargate or he's jumping back and forth to the spaceship.
And it's spaceship.
That's why he's unseen.
Yeah.
But he was notice how they said he was only unseen in Egypt. He was in his abode was elsewhere.
Yep.
So he's probably traveling through multiple dimensions.
No.
And
he went to fucking
Peru. Got to rule the Stargate.
And the land of the horned beasts that are hunted.
I mean, it says right there he was far away in heaven because he went to the rear of the.
You don't hunt rhinoceros, but you do hunt buffalo.
He's usually flanked by serpents. It's commonly explained as a disk, sun disk, because Ra was the sun, but in fact, it was the ancient world's ubiquitous symbol of Nibiru, and Nibiru that has become a distant unseen star. No, see right there.
Yeah, my friend, is where Babel was.
Right there.
It wasn't in
Samir. Marduk being the person contradicts himself and tries to mislead you.
No, you just keep reading, Josh.
To see what he'd already written.
Yeah, this is one thing I don't like about Josh is I feel responsible for.
It wasn't representing the
and he doesn't have the whole picture.
It was representing Marduk because that's exactly why you had the winged scarab beetles.
He's never seen the fucking signature behind us. He's never read a wall yet. You know what I mean?
On the History inscription that represents.
This is years ago. He was.
What's it?
This is before Rod ever showed up. This Josh reading this shit. I didn't have it. I didn't have the information we got. This is brand new shit. This is brand new shit. It's brand
King
new
Darius,
shit.
is represented on the Behistun inscription by a winged disc. Because Ra Marduk
it ain't a winged disc.
It was in Egypt that his star religion was expressed in its clearest form. There, a 10, the star of millions of years representing Ra Marduk in his celestial aspect, became the unseen because it was far away in heaven. Because it had gone to the rear of the horizon. Oh, is that what this is? Oh, see? Wow. I thought about it like that.
Mm-hmm. See? Look,
so,
now he's getting it. I told him to read, didn't I? I was like, come on, Josh, just read. He's like, I forgot to put the moons on the pawns, just like I forgot to put them on this one, so we're going to have to finish those tomorrow anyway. Oh, my back's stiff. So I'm going to sit here and puff a little bit of this and listen to Josh. Well, anywhere. There's misinformation to the atomic level. I mean, everybody has been generationally lied to. We knew something wasn't right the whole fucking time. Now we know what it is, and we know how to fix it. And we need to come together and start fixing it. Stop attacking each other. So stop hating each other globally. Be like, look, we're all on the fucking globe. It's a globe. It ain't a fucking. It's a globe. It's a globe. It's a globe. Fucking flat Earth banners everywhere. It's a globe. I gotta mention it's a globe all the time. Everybody thinks I'm some kind of flat earther. It's a globe. and we're all on it, and it's on its side, and our sky's rolling, and nobody's told you about it until I just did. Why? They've known. I reported it to my senator. They told me they knew, and I ran, and it followed me here for fucking a lot of years, folks. I finally understand what's been going on now and who's behind it, without a doubt. And he's shown his ass around every one of you and all these people and all this. It's huge. What is online? You bet. The amount of effort they're putting forth to lie to people is absolutely phenomenal. Well, put it this way: Robert Lockwood posts up a fucking picture of my house online, starts talking about bombity bombity bomb diggity and shit. Where's my basement? Making offside fucking threats on me. And these are people that are tied in with missing people. And this fucking cocksucker, I don't know what his name is, but he's listing names today in John and I's live show of the La Junta Police Department officers and shit. I thought that was while he's doing all this shit. And I'm like, man, they are just fucking really working hard. They've exposed themselves, and I'm well, I can't wait till tomorrow to talk to the fucking state's attorney. Yeah, you saw that too. I did too. I did too. I was like, that's cute. Nice, Nippy. We'll have a little conversation about that. Because I don't, like I said, I found out Friday that my locals don't even have any idea on the accident that because the guy that ran into me is missing. The guy that owns the truck, 3 days before it hit me in the side here in Pueblo, Colorado, that bought the truck in Texas City, my last known location in the world, all of a sudden straight line right into my door. 3 days later, now both of those fucking people are missing, and I've got this going on. State contacted me because of all that fishy shit 4 years after the fact. Somebody else is looking into it, and they're looking into it, and they're asking me questions, and I'm all like, well, I'll be happy to come down to your fucking hub and talk to you. And that's not here at my local place. So I'm making a visit to the state's attorney with all of the stuff I gave my local, and then some. So I don't give a fuck who he contacted in the police over here, what he said. I don't even know if he did or not. Their information's online, and I don't care. That adds to the fucking story. If he's actually contacting law enforcement, do you think that's a smart move at this point in time? I don't. He probably gave him his, well, I doubt it. I don't know. Maybe he gave him his real name. I don't know. It's fucking amazing, though. Like I said, every time they act against me, they expose themselves more. So I imagine he probably did give him his real name. And I don't know if he has anything directly to do with these missing people, but I'm sure they're not going to leave too many stones uncovered. They're talking to me. I'm sure I was probably the last person they're talking to. I was the one hit. How am I supposed to know who they are or what, or anything about it? Well, I know I can't get my money because there's some missing people involved in this shit and the insurance company's locked up. And there's other people looking for shit and the fucking states picked it up because it's a fishy situation all of a sudden. Not because I said it was. They called me. Literally called me and sent me shit and called me again. I was like, yeah, I did get your shit. I take it he's like, no, this is because of the accident. I was like, oh, well, yeah, it is kind of that way, actually. But you don't know about that then, I'm guessing. That was kind of the way the conversation went. This is actually a completely different investigation. So I don't give a fuck who he called. Somebody else is looking at this shit now. Yeah, I thought it was a good show. We had crazy shit happen live. That couldn't have been timed. New stuff happening at 6-4 right after I said we was gonna see elevated as she heats longer, and she kept heating, and we had that 6-4. I was looking for more like a 5, honestly, because it's probably going to be over a 5, and yeah, it was a little over a 5. That's 6-4. Um, in Tonga, volcanic beds heating up. That's what that is. And um, then when she cools down, it'll happen again, and it happens in a pattern. It's very easily seen red on that ISWA monitor. It's just a magnet in space. It's all you're watching. If you look at your ferrocells, you'll understand ISWA pretty well. Just by that, you understand why those field lines are closed. I've got video that video I showed with the 3 models on it. Before those 3 models, um, there's why the field lines close. That first video on my page should answer like most of your questions, but nobody really looks at it. Because everybody asks me, where's my evidence? I'm like, well, you know, that video, I could have made billions. We gave it to you for free. I kind of gave you the reason I could have made and show you exactly what I could have made billions on, but I'm giving to you for free. You might want to look at that one. It's got a few models on it. I show you how to build a pyramid, orbit a planet, make a perpetual engine off of oscillating magnets. And no, it's not mine. I went out and researched it and found somebody that was working on models under the premise of lined up field magnets, just like homies has 3 one way, 3 another, and oscillate that shit. And it's like, I'm all like, that guy is who you need to talk to. And I tell you that in the video. Like, this guy, he probably got the patent on this. You might want to talk to him. It's fucking brilliant. And it works. It works great. Take right off like an airplane. How could you not see that? It's right there on the cover page. Hi, Peter. I ain't saving no one's soul. That's up to Creator. I don't own those. Creator gonna free that. We just need to do our part, which we've very busily not been doing. Finally down to the niblet on this little fucker here. Yeah, the field lines are double splitting. Isn't that crazy? You can see two double. It's she's pushing on multiple objects at the same time. I was impressed. Could you tell? I was like, damn. It just keeps getting more and more obvious, doesn't it? When you got bubble of field line over here with bubble of field line splitting down here, and you got bubble of push everywhere. It's pretty evident. Yeah, that was split coming from Earth. She was pushing two different objects. I was like, at the same time, I was like, go, mama. That's like double barrel stuff. I've seen her do that before, but I mean, that one was just like really evident. I was like, damn, that was pretty impressive. Yeah, this see, that's why I said this is new stuff. While we were going live, it was really new. I've never seen some of those things that happened today, and I've been watching that for a while. But it's not anything I didn't expect to see. I expect these things to shift around and make room for each other as the crunch becomes. And I think we actually witnessed it in real time. And I'm still sitting there looking at it, and mom's all like, it's if you got your ISWA on, show's still going on. It ain't slowed down. And it's not going to. It's been picking up speed for a little while. And it is what it is. And as a family deal with that better, because it's coming. It's on our ass. We're at the crunch point, and every day it's going to crunch a little, and it'll be a little more evident every. And that's just all there is to it. Me and my oxygen supplier out here is a very well respected man in this community. Stood there and watched 3/4 of the damn sky turn into a planet one day for a minute or less, whatever. It was all I needed to get my pants. Richard's seen it a few times. He said, fucking kid. He's older than I am. He works outside. At the time, honestly, I was wondering if he was going to have a heart attack. And I was wondering if I was going to fall down onto the planet that I was looking at because it was so fucking huge. And I looked back and I was wondering, and looking at him, and he was doing the same thing. He was looking, and he looked at me, and he kept his composure really, really good. And I didn't really put it. I didn't. I told him, I was like, Richard, I gotta go. And I jumped in my car and left. That was the only thing I said to him after it went away. I watched it fold back up under the Cherenkov, which is bright blue. It was bright blue like clouds, man. I was like, that was the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. And all I could think of was getting home. My kid was at home. And I did. I jumped in the car. I had already paid him. And then, last week, I went back over there. We're talking about it. He's like, oh, yeah, man. I said, dude, yeah. He goes, oh, yeah, I've seen it a few times. And I was like, I just kind of stopped. I was like, a few times? I said, you mean, you saw that? And I started laughing. No wonder he was He was wondering if I was going to have a heart attack the whole fucking time. He'd already seen that shit. He was like a pro at it by the time I fucking saw it my first time. Because I said, I didn't handle that very well, Richard. And he's like, no, you didn't. I said, I just jumped in my car and left, didn't I? He said, yeah, you didn't say anything. Not even bye, nothing. Just boop, gone. I was like, all right, man. I had to get home to my kid. But it's really, my God, if I had seen that by myself, I'd be eating myself alive trying to convince somebody it happened. I'm really glad to share that experience with a human being that had already seen it before. I saw it. That was fucking intense. And yeah, he thought I was going to die of a heart attack. He said, you went pale. I said, I'm already kind of pale. He went more pale. I love this guy. He doesn't have a bush either. He's asking me pretty much to go get a straight answer. Nice. Yeah, I'll tell you. I know truck drivers that be sending videos of them going down the highway in the middle of the day, and trucks in front of them got a shadow cast on both sides of the truck, all out like that. They're like, how does that happen? I'm like, well, you got the blue on one side and our sun and the red on the other. I said, that's why you're getting dark shadow here and the light shadow there. That's why the moons light up at the day. It's used to not do that when we was kids. It does now because we have that fucking ultraviolet sun coming closer to it. And that's why our moon's doing a cartwheel. We're on our side. It happened in 2010. And in 2014, I reported it to Senator Davis, found out they knew. And like I said, ran to here via Texas. I was in Texas for a year. And I ended up here. Somebody bought a fucking truck in Texas City, hundred and some $1,000 fucking truck. 3 days later, somebody else was driving it into my side that hit the brakes 20 yards after they hit me at 65 mile an hour in a little construction zone that was backed up for 2 miles. They should have never been up 65. Nobody was up 65 for months on that section of the fucking highway. But somehow my GPS got fucked up that day, turned me around 4 times in that intersection. I finally got tired of it, realized I needed to go this way. I was in town because my insurance company wanted to read my VIN numbers. It was the other way, so I was going to turn around. That motherfucker hits me at 65. And now both of the owner of the truck and the driver of the truck are missing. So the state took 4 years and it's just now coming around. I'm like, is that coincidence? Is that synchronicity? Because neither one of these fucking locals or the state had talked to each other yet over what's happening now with Derek Bros, the billionaire. So yeah, it's very fishy everywhere now. I've had enough of enough. It's enough. It is one thing, one thing. I love me some fried ice cream. I haven't had that in a long time. Jesse Jane. Before I get started, I want to take another game. I know I just cleaned out my bowl. That gave me enough of a buzz. I don't need any more. Right now, a load of notes and all IMF push. Look at that. Kurt, she just updated. Better look. QuakeMap should be responding to that soon. Where we at here? 612. Where we at here? We are behind. She just stopped inducing. How long ago? How long? She was just inducing. Still. We're still getting intermittent bands from the sun right now, too. See, that causes extra pressure, and that's why we're seeing reactivity behind the sun, too, in the IMF field. That means that's not Earth. It's the only thing that means. It's nothing but IMF-ery. Closed field line happening as a response to it. Look at the clocks. Everything's a little shaky on the helo. It's calmed down. In some places, Turkey looks suspect right now. Okay, there's a couple of suspects. Greenland area? Probably Iceland, Greenland. I don't know. And then, of course, the usual suspects, Japan, Russia region, and all the volcanic islands and the Philippines are kind of rumbling. All that whole peninsula in Russia. And slightly increased in Wyoming. Activity there. So we should probably expect another 5 or so or more soon. Yeah. Because my maps are out of sync again time wise. They're both kind of lagging. I'm a protective. But here you go. That's your ISWA update. Let's make a pawn. Listen to some more cannon here. And Josh's excitement for his discovery.
Oh man, that makes total sense.
It does.
That's why they talk about in the Quran. It talks about Allah coming from Sirius or being the ruler of Sirius.
Blues.
And that's the same thing it says here. It says that because raw water was physically absent from Egypt, it was in Egypt that his star religion was expressed in its clearest form. So he was jumping back and forth, just like in the movie Stargate, where they show they have like a representation of the stars, and they show where their robot rover that they send into it goes, and they have this long distance across the galaxy. So these guys would travel through the Stargate back and forth to these other realms on these other planets, and then they would set up their temples to point in those directions and to tell the people that was the heavens, not letting them on to this technology and this thing that they're using to do that.
Keep reading, Josh.
Oh my God, I can't believe I've never saw it that way. That's exactly what it says.
You're going to see a different way here in a minute.
And that's why they did that. They led these people to believe that was part of their godliness, and they meant into the, to primitive people it was.
Yeah. But the different region
it wasn't godly, it was just technology.
The different region is here on the planet.
So they would jump back and forth between these two locations.
Yep.
And come back to the story, come back to Earth where they were gods, and go back and forth and have another life somewhere else.
Keep reading.
And then when people would ask where they're from, they'd say, I'm from this location over here. I'm the Lord of Sirius.
Keep reading.
Going through the fiery furnace and all that. My goodness.
What's wrong with this boy?
The transition to Marduk's new age and new religion was not so smooth in the Inland lands. First, southern Mesopotamia and the western lands that were in the path of the poisonous wind had to recover from its impact. The calamity that befell Sumer, it will be recalled, was not the nuclear explosion per se, but the ensuing radioactive wind.
Yeah.
The cities were emptied of their residents and livestock, but were physically undamaged. The waters were poisoned. The flowing two great rivers soon corrected that. The soil absorbed the radioactive poison, and that took longer to recover, but that too improved with time. And so it was possible for people to slowly repopulate and re-inhabit the desert land. So we're going to stop right there for tonight. Wow, that's, I've seen all the pieces and all the evidence of all that in all my other research, but I never quite thought about it in that way. That's what the importance of these stargates is, but that's how they were able to do this.
No.
And that's what I believe, that these names
that coincide
with planets actually coincided. It's almost as if each one of these stargates were tuned or created for each individual person. So Marduk would have his, and Enki would have his, but each one of them was tuned to a certain planet or a certain star system or wherever else, and it was individual to the person using it. So if so-and-so was going to go through one, they would go through one that would go to, say, Mars or Venus or where another planet or another star system. And so they became the rulers over that, and that's why they pointed people in the direction of those stars, because those individual realms were where they basically inhabited.
No.
That's fascinating stuff, man. That makes total sense. See, when you get over this idea of religion, and when you start to understand that
you watch too much TV,
the lies being farther back than government, farther back than the current religious. This is this lie that's being perpetrated by the priest class today. It's a lie that was set up long before.
Well, you're right about that.
The modern man was running it.
You're right about that, buddy.
Our whole culture, our whole society is absolutely based on the belief in gods of these people that created us. And, it's hard to argue in that situation that they aren't gods. Because what do you say?
You're not. You're misguided.
I don't know, man. It's fascinating stuff.
You're not
The
God.
first recorded administrative ruler in the devastated South was an ex-governor of Mari, a city way northwest on the Euphrates River. We learned that he was not of Sumerian seed. His name, Ishibi-Era, was in fact a Semitic name. He established his headquarters in the city of Sin, and from there he oversaw the efforts to resurrect the other major cities, but the process was slow, difficult, and at times chaotic. His efforts at rehabilitation were continued by several successors, also bearing Semitic names, the so-called dynasty of Sin. Altogether, it took them close to a century to revive Sumer's economic center, and ultimately Nippur, the land's traditional religious heart. But by then, that city at a time process ran into challenges from other local city rulers, and the erstwhile Sumer remained fragmented in a broken land. Even Babylon itself, though outside the evil wind's direct path, needed a revived and repopulated country if it was to rise to the imperial size and status. And it did not attain the grandeur of Marduk's prophecy for quite some time. More than a century had to pass until a former dynasty, called by scholars the first dynasty of Babylon, was installed on its throne circa 1900 BCE. Yet another century had to pass until a king who lived up to the prophesied greatness sat on Babylon's throne. His name was Hammurabi. He is mostly known for the code of laws proclaimed by him. The laws recorded on a stone stela that archaeologists have discovered and is now in the Louvre in Paris. It still took some 2 centuries before Marduk's prophetic vision regarding Babylon could come true. The meager evidence from the post-calamity time, some scholars refer to the period following the demise of as a dark age in Mesopotamian history, suggests that Marduk let the other gods, even his adversaries, take care of the recovery and repopulation of their own olden cult centers. It is doubtful that they took up his invitation. The recovery and rebuilding was started by Ishibi-Era, began at but there is no mention of Nanar, Sin, and Lingor returning to There is mention of Minerva's occasional presence in Samaria, especially in regard to its garrison by fruits. Garrison, but there is no record that he was expected of that. The efforts by Ishibi for the cultivars and their temples culminated after the passage of 72 years in the tour, but there is no mention that it will and it will include the residence code. Where have they gone? The one avenue of exploring that includes the subject was to ascertain that Marduk himself, now supreme and claiming to be the giver of command for all the Anunnaki, had planned for them. Well, we talked about that last time. Where they went was, that's why they built these temples and these things directed towards certain different alignments. We see some towards Sirius, we see some towards Canis Major, we see some towards Cygnus and the Cygnus system. So, that's kind of been one of the things for me, is that yes, we do see a lot of things all over the planet lined up in different locations, but some of them are located to different ones. And I think that's what this trick was of these gods. They were using the Stargate to jump back and forth, and when they would point their temples towards this other location, what they were pointing to was the jump point. And that represented one location where the Stargate was on Earth, and then the other location where the Stargate was on this somewhere else. And they made their followers believe that that was where they were the lords of. That's why we had Allah being the Lord of Sirius. This guy came through it
was his time.
A Stargate and set himself up as a god on Earth. The textual and other evidence from that time show that Marduk's life was a religion did not end polytheism, and religious belief in many gods. On the contrary, this potentially required continued polytheism to be supreme over other gods. The existence of other gods was necessary. That's why, putting no other gods before you and all that stuff in the Bible. What other gods? That was everybody's view of you. I mean, it was mine. Who are these other gods that you don't want me to put before you? And what do they have to offer, good or bad, if you require my undying servitude and my, your protection, so long as I don't worship these other gods. Can we have an interview process here, please? I'd like to interview these other gods and interview yourself here, Mr. Price. We just like to do this all formal and nice here, make sure we get all the pictures taken care of. I just like to interview each one of these guys individually. Find out what each one has to offer, what kind of package they offer. And show yourself. Really get into it.
But that's what they destroyed us for in Babel. Except they didn't destroy Babel at all, remember?
And I'm a pretty picky bastard. I require some perks.
They destroyed Samir with the weapons
so let's
and the fallout.
talk about these other gods first.
It's crazy.
Before you start telling me you want me to disavow them, because I might be missing out on a good deal here. These other gods may, they be providing a lot more than what we're getting out of Eddie. You see what I mean here? The best man wins. Let's be democratic about this. And we'll line up these gods one by one, bring them in here, give them a little test. And you never know. I may decide I want to put this god over here above you. Doesn't make you less of a person. You're going to be able to go out and find a lot of other people who are going to worship you and join your cult, and it'll be all good. Don't take offense at me just because I feel this god over here has a little more to offer. You weren't even allowing these other gods to even speak their case.
I know.
We had to go and find them. But don't you? No other gods before me. Well, okay. We haven't even had a chance to see what these other gods have to offer yet before we make that promise. That's a little unfair. He was satisfied to let them be as long as their prerogatives were subject to his control. A Babylonian tablet recorded in its undamaged portion the following list of divine attributes that were henceforth vested in Marduk. Ninurta is Marduk of the hoe. Nergal is Marduk of the attack. Zababa is Marduk of the combat. Enlil is Marduk of lordship and counsel. Sin is Marduk, the illuminator of the night. Shamash is Marduk of justice. Adad is Marduk of reigns. The other gods remained, their attributes remained, but they now held attributes of Marduk that he granted to them. He let their worship be continued. The very name of the interim ruler, administrator in the south, Ishibi Era, priest of Era, i.e. of Nergal, confirms this tolerant policy. But what Marduk expected was that they come and stay with him in his envisaged Babylon, prisoners in golden cages, one may say. In his autobiographical prophecies, Marduk clearly indicated his intentions in regard to the other gods, including his adversaries. They were to come and reside next to him in Babylon's sacred precincts, sanctuaries or pavilions for Sin and Ningal,
we have to do all three of them.
Where they would reside together with their treasures and possessions are specifically mentioned.
See?
Texts describing Babylon and archaeological excavations there show that in accordance with Marduk's wishes,
I forgot the
Babylon's sacred precinct also included resident shrines dedicated to Ninmah, Adad, Shamash, and even Ninurta.
It's all good.
When Babylon finally rose to imperial power under Hammurabi, its ziggurat temple indeed reached skyward. The prophesied great king in time did sit on its throne, but to its priest-filled sacred precinct, the other gods did not flock. That manifestation of the new religion did not come about. Looking at the Hammurabi Stela, recording his law code, we see him receiving the laws from none other than Utu, Shamash, the very one, according to the above quoted list, whose prerogatives as god of justice now belong to Marduk. And the preamble inscribed on the stela invoked Anu and Enlil, the one whose lordship and counsel were presumably taken over by Marduk as the gods to whom Marduk was beholden for his status. Lofty Anu, lord of the gods who from heaven to earth came, and Enlil, lord of heaven and earth, who determines the land destinies.
That's the truth.
Determined for Marduk, the firstborn of Enki, leaving little functions over all mankind. These acknowledgments of the continued empowerment of Enlil-like gods, 2 centuries after the age of Marduk began, reflect the actual state of affairs. They did not come to retire in Marduk's sacred precinct. Dispersed away from Sumer, some accompanied their followers to faraway lands in the 4 corners of the earth. Others remained nearby, rallying their followers, old and new, to a renewed challenge to Marduk. The sense that Sumer as a homeland was no more is clearly expressed in the divine instructions to Abraham of Nippur on the eve of the nuclear upheaval to Semitize his name to Abraham, and that of his wife Sarai to Sarah, and to make his permanent home in Canaan. Abraham and his wife were not the only Sumerians in need of a new refuge. The nuclear calamity triggered migrational movements on a scale unknown before. The first wave of people was away from the affected lands, its most significant aspect, and one with the most lasting effects was the dispersal of Sumer's remnants away from Sumer. The next wave of migrants was into that abandoned land, coming into waves from all directions. Whichever direction those migration waves took, the fruits of 2,000 years of Sumerian civilization were adopted by the other peoples that followed them in the next 2 millennia. Indeed, though Sumer as a physical entity was crushed, the attainments of civilization are still with us to this day. Just look up your 12-month calendar. Check the time on your watch. That retained the Sumerian sexagesimal base 60 system, or drive in your contraption on wheels, a car. The evidence for a widespread Sumerian diaspora with its language, writing symbols, customs, celestial knowledge, beliefs, and gods comes in many forms.
Well,
Beside the generalities, a religion based on a pantheon of gods who have come from the heavens, a divine hierarchy, god epithet names that mean the same in different languages, astrological knowledge that included a home planet of the gods, a zodiac with its 12 houses, virtually identical creation tales, and memories of gods and demigods that scholars treat as myths. There are a host of astounding specific similarities that cannot be explained other than by an actual presence of Sumerians. It was expressed in the spread in Europe of Ninurta's double eagle symbol. Oh, see, there we go.
Yep.
The double eagle symbol of Ninurta, which we saw taken over in England in Freemasonry. Yeah, see? The fact that 3 European languages, Hungarian, Finnish, and Basque, are akin only to Sumerian, and the widespread depiction throughout the world, even in South America, of Gilgamesh fighting off with bare hands 2 friends. In the Far East, there is the clear Sumerian cuneiform writing in the scripts of China, Korea, and Japan. The similarity is not only in the script, many similar glyphs are identically pronounced in all. In Japan, civilization has been attributed to an god called Anu. The emperor's family has been deemed to be a line of demigods, from the sun god. And the investiture ceremonies of a new king include a secret, solitary nightly stay with the sun goddess, a ritual ceremony that uncannily emulates a sacred marriage rites in ancient Sumer, where the new king spent a night with Inanna or Ishtar. In the erstwhile 4 regions, the migratory waves of diverse peoples triggered by the nuclear calamity of Marduk's new age, much like flowing and overflowing rivers and rivulets after stormy rains, filled the pages of the ensuing centuries with the rise and fall of nations, states, and city-states. Into the Sumerian void, newcomers came in from near and far. Their arena, their central stage, remained what can rightly be called the lands of the Bible. Indeed, until the advent of modern archaeology, little or nothing was known about most of them except for their mention in the Hebrew Bible. It provided not only a record of those various peoples, but also of their national gods and of the wars fought and the names of those gods. Within nations such as the Hittites, states such as the Mitanni, or royal capitals such as Mari, Carchemish, or Susa, which were doubt-filled puzzles, were literally dug up by archaeology. In their ruins, there were found not only telltale artifacts, but also thousands of inscribed clay tablets that brought to light both the existence as well as the extent of their debt to the Sumerian legacy. Virtually everywhere, Sumerian firsts in science and technologies, literature and art, kingship and priesthood were the foundation on which subsequent cultures were developed.
Crown and scepter.
In astronomy, Sumerian terminology, orbital formulas, planetary lists, and zodiacal concepts were retained.
Zodiacals!
The Sumerian cuneiform script was kept in use for another 1,000 years, and then more. The Sumerian language was studied. Sumerian lexicons were compiled, and Sumerian epic tales of gods and heroes were copied and translated. And once those nations' diverse languages were deciphered, it turned out that their gods were, after all, members of the old Anunnaki pantheon. Did the Immolite gods themselves accompany their followers when such replanting of Sumerian knowledge and belief took place in faraway lands? The data are inconclusive. But what is historically certain is that within 2 or 3 centuries of the New Age, in lands bordering Babylonia, those who were supposed to become Marduk's retired guests embarked on an even newer kind of religious affiliations, national state religions. Marduk may have garnered the 50 divine names, but did not prevent from then on nation fighting nation and men killing men in the name of their God, or in the name of God in general. And so that leaves off, let's see, in chapter 7, chapter 8, in the name of God. Will be our next chapter. I'm sure that will get into what we already know. Wars being fought in the name of God, in the name of this religion or that religion, and really it's just these Anunnaki using it as chess pieces in their little games. If the prophecies and messianic expectations attendant on the New Age of the 21st century BCE look familiar to us today, the battle cries of the subsequent centuries would not sound strange either. If in the 3rd millennium BCE, God fought using armies of men, in the 2nd millennium BCE, men fought men in the name of God. It took just a few centuries after the start of Marduk's New Age to show that the fulfillment of his prophecies of grandeur would not easily come. Significantly, the resistance came not so much from the dispersed Immolite gods, but from the people, the masses of their loyal worshippers. More than a century had to pass from the time of the nuclear ordeal until Babylon, the city, emerged on the stage of the first history as Babylonia, the state, under its first dynasty. During that interval, southern Mesopotamia, the Sumir of old, was left to recover in the hands of temporary rulers, headquartered in Asin and then in Larsa. The theophoric names Lipit, Ishtar, Ur, Ninurta, Rim, Sin, Enlil, Benai, flaunted their Immolite loyalties. Their crowning achievement was the restoration of Nippur's temple exactly 72 years after the nuclear havoc, another indication of where their loyalties lay, and of an adherence to a zodiacal time count. Those non-Babylonian rulers were the scions of Semitic-speaking royals from a city-state called Mari. Now that's interesting. The non-Babylonian rulers were scions of Semitic-speaking royal state called Mari. What do you think the same people that funded Hitler who Sephardics, meanwhile Ashkenazis go on, untouched and go on continuing to be the tools of the Vatican, but through the banking interests. And also we have, this genocide going on against, Iraqis and people in the list, because that's after these blood laws, which was a president supremacy. As one looks at a map showing relationships in the first half of the 2nd millennium BCE, it becomes clear that the non-Mardukite states formed a formidable vice around Greater Babylon, starting with Elam and Bukium on the north and south and east, Assyria and Hatti from the north, and has a western anchor in the chain, Mari on the mid-Euphrates. Of them, Mari was the most Sumerian, even having served once as Sumer's capital. The 10th as that function located among Sumer's major cities. An ancient port city on the Euphrates River, it was a major crossing place for people, goods, and culture between Mesopotamia in the east, the Mediterranean lands in the west, and Anatolia in the northwest. The Tamari looks more the finest examples of Sumerian writing, and achieved central power for decorated murals astounding in their artistry, honoring Ishtar. A chapter on Mari from my visit to its link and read in West Harvard Expedition. Hopefully that plug got right. Its royal archive of thousands of great devils reveals how Mari's wealth and international connections to many other city-states were first used and then betrayed by the emerging Babylon. After at first obtaining the restoration of Southern Mesopotamia by the Marine royals, Babylon's king, claiming peace and unprovoked, treated Marie as an enemy. In 1760 BCE, the Babylonian king Hammurabi attacked, sacked, and destroyed Marie with temples and palaces. It was done, Hammurabi boasted in his annals, through the mighty power of Marduk. After the fall of Marie, chieftains from the sea land, Sumer's marshy areas bordering the lower sea, the Persian Gulf, conducted raids northward and took from time to time control of the sacred city of Tours. Those were temporary gains, and Hammurabi was certain that his vanquishing of Marie completed Babylon's political and religious domination of the old Sumer and Akkad. The dynasty to which he belonged, named by scholars the first dynasty of Babylon, began a century before him and continued through his.
So I remembered to put the damn moon on that one.
For another 2 centuries, and those turbulent times was quite an achievement. Historians and theologians agree that in 1760 BCE, Hammurabi, calling himself King of the Four Quarters, put Babylon on the world map and launched Marduk's distinct star religion. When Babylon's political and military supremacy was thus established, it was time to assert and aggrandize its religious domination. In a city whose splendor was extolled in the Bible and whose gardens were deemed one of the ancient world's wonders, the sacred precinct with the Sahil Ziggurat temple at its center was protected by its own walls and guarded gates. Inside, processional ways were laid out to fit the religious ceremonies, and shrines were built for other gods who Marduk expected to be his unwilling guests. When archaeologists excavated Babylon, they found not only the city's remains, but also architectural tablets describing and mapping out the city, though many of the structures are remains from later
I'll be right
times.
back. I gotta turn off my oxygen.
The artist's conception of the sacred precinct center gives a good idea of Marduk's magnificent headquarters. As befits a Vatican, the sacred precinct was also filled with an impressive array of priests whose religious, ceremonial, administrative, political, and menial tasks can be gleaned from their various groupings, classifications, and designations. That's a very interesting thing that they make this relation to how Marduk had his city and his temple built was almost identical to the Vatican. And not only that, his right-hand men, as it were the priests. Those were the people who were the government in those times. And those are the people who worked directly for these individuals such as Marduk, who had set themselves up as gods. Just be pretty retarded to think that it's any different today, folks. At the bottom of the hierarchy were the service personnel, the abalu, the porters, who clean swept the temple and adjoining buildings, providing the tools and utensils that the other priests required, and acted as general supply and warehousing personnel, except for woolen yarns, which were entrusted only to shuru priests. Now, why would only the priests be allowed to have access to these woolen yarns? This woolen yarn to make a sweater out of, is that fucking high Anunnaki technology or something? Hopefully they'll iterate on that for us. Special priests like the Mushushipu and the Mulilu performed ritual purification services, except that it required a Mushalahu to handle snake infestations. That's interesting too, isn't it? We had to have a priest come deal with snake infestations? So let me get this straight. The priests are the only one that could ward off the fucking reptiles. Well, that's interesting, isn't it? The Umanu, master craftsmen, worked in workshops whose artful religious objects were fashioned. The Zabu were a group of female priestesses, chefs, and cooks who prepared the meals. Other priestesses act as professional bewailers in funerals. The Bakate knew how to shed their tears. And then there were the Shengu, simply the priests, who oversaw the overall functioning of the temple, the smooth performance of its rituals, and the receiving and handling of the offerings, or who were responsible for the god's clothes and so on. Their bitch personal assistant. No wonder these priests are all like, think right too. We're supposed to be shepherds, and shepherds smell like sheep. That lispy, queer, fucking Jesuit, and the guy had to play that twice. It just, oh god, it was too fucking funny. So now we know where that comes from. These guys were personal interior decorators and personal assistants of the gods. No wonder they're fags. I mean, aren't all interior decorators and personal assistants homosexual? I mean, yeah. There you go. Thank you, Zachariah Sitchin, for providing us with the historical context for that. The provision of personal butlering services to the resident gods was handled by a small but especially selected elite group of priests. Ooh.
Yay.
Yeah, I'm selected for potholes.
And tonight I'm cutting off a little early because I am going to bed early. I got a busy day tomorrow. Monday, I got to talk to the state guy in Pueblo tomorrow. So I want to be up nice and early. I have a whole hit or two for to take off. I don't even know. My map here in a minute to see where we're at. Half hour. 45. Well, thank you. Shit, man. You know, I love talking to Brew. It was killing me. His computer was down. It's kind of funny. His shit went down about the same time. Hardware. Never know, huh? Put a little bit of shake in there, a little bit of hash. Fire it up. Yeah, I need to get a shower and shit. Get in bed. Get a little sleep. So I can wake up before noon tomorrow. Nice and fresh. I woke up about 11 today, which is usually when I like to wake up. But tomorrow I'm gonna wake up about 8 or 9. I need a couple hours extra sleep or go to bed extra early. Pinch of citrus too. So now I got a citrusy blueberry grape crunchy. Ooh, that's sticky. Got booger. Good night, Jane. It's Latin time. So I know it's 4:20 somewhere. It's almost 1 here. Look, I'm actually going to bed at night. I'll be up again tomorrow night. Regular schedule. I just need to, like I said, I need to get out of town tomorrow. Go to an appointment in Pueblo. Y'all have a good evening. We'll see you tomorrow. Keep them hearts light. Stay safe. Be careful out there. Bunch of crazy motherfuckers running around.